What's up, Sharon?
What's up, buddy?
Thank you for coming back on here.
Absolutely, man.
Let's
Good
just
to get back to be here.
yes, sir, bro. Let's just pick back up where we left off at last
All right.
episode. And we'll just see where it goes. So, we were talking about girls and what you've learned from past relationships, like what to look
Yeah.
for, what not to look for. So, not to be weird, but whenever you see a pretty girl or something or anything like that, what is your biggest guard now, or how do you operate now whenever you're searching or
Yeah.
not?
Well, right now I'm not dating anybody, and so I've, kind of just been focusing on my relationship with God, getting my career stuff in order, just trying to focus on that before I jump into anything. I mean, I'd say if I see a girl, and I think she's pretty and stuff, the first thing that pops into my head is like, well, you don't really know her yet.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of us, we can look at the outside appearance and we can say, ooh, yeah, I like that. But at the same time, you have to remind yourself that God wants us to look at the inside like he looks at the inside with us.
Sure.
And so if I see if I see a girl I like, think she's pretty or whatever, in my head, I still am to the point where I jump to conclusions like, oh, she's so pretty and stuff. And
Dude, it's like
everything.
when me and you were talking on the phone that one time. I was talking about the Hallmark movie, bro. You
Yes,
start playing those Hallmark movies.
yeah,
in your head,
and it starts to become a rabbit hole, and
Sure.
I've gotta work on that. But now I would say you got to get to know her first. You have to get to know her personality. You have to get to know what she likes. You have to get to know her relationship with God, because in the end, those things are going to last longer than what physical appearance is going to, and that's what the Bible says.
That's fast. It says that in Proverbs, I think, right?
Mhm.
Beauty is fleeting.
Yeah,
I forgot what the rest of the verse is.
I don't quite remember it either, but that's the things I'm trying to look at, and sometimes I feel like I'm being too picky. But
I don't think that's bad. Or what do you think makes you feel like you're being too picky then?
well, and I'm mainly talking about like what my parents have said, and just like, well, not every girl's going to be perfect. I'm like, I know, but there's certain things that just bother me. Like for example, kind of when if I'm interested in a girl and I just kind of hear her talk about, I don't know, like her past, or just certain sins, or like another example is like the music they listen to. Like, for some reason, that is a huge conviction of mine. They can be like the nicest, sweetest person ever, but if they're just listening to garbage music, I'm just like,
I get it, bro, 'cause I don't
immediate
wanna hear
turn
it.
off, because I don't want to hear it, but then also I want to know that like where their heart is at is in a good, wholesome place,
It's true.
and they're close to God, and they're seeking after Him and not after their fleshly desires.
Mhm.
At church this past Wednesday, one thing that stuck with me is that, you know, every person you want to date or person that you may be interested in, they're not a finished product. And so that's one thing that
That's very true.
I've kind of had to think of and say, like, hey, they're not all going to be perfect and everything. However, there's just certain things that I would want to be, right. And one of those things is, you have to be close to God. You have to have your priorities in line. And like I said, there's just certain convictions and things that, that I have that I'm just like, I don't feel good. Like, let me give you another one. If I'm interested in a girl or something, I find out she's in a sorority. For me, that's kind of an instant turn off.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, I don't really see the point in it, and I really don't think a lot of good things happen there. I could be proven wrong, but if I see that, or if quickly when I'm talking to them, I find out that's what they're in. I'm kind of just pushed back like a little bit, like just like, give me the reason you're in that, because
Sure.
I feel like a lot of people, including guys, when they join fraternities, their main goal is, well, I want to party. Well, I want to be with other people that want to party, and and you just pay a lot of money for it, and there's no reason, in my opinion, for it.
Sure, bro.
You can make friends without paying all that money, and so it really depends on the reasoning behind it. However, I feel like a lot of people do join fraternities or sororities, just, because I want to drink, I want to be included, I want to be involved in everything going on.
Yeah.
To me, I just don't see the point in it. However, I did meet someone that was in a sorority. They were a follower of Jesus. They love God. I could be proven wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're in that stuff, and that, yeah.
There's some that go and do like charitable things
Yeah.
and go help in the community. So I mean, there's good things about it, but
Yeah.
then like there's also like
But have I
the
heard
dangers.
many like that? No, I haven't.
I know.
So at least right now, what I look for, I see the outside. That's what first attracts you, but you have to eventually go deeper. What's their personality like? What's the relationship with God like? How do they treat other people? And another thing that's important is, how they treat their parents as well. Because, eventually how they treat your parents, if on down the line something forms out of, you talking to them and stuff, that's a indicator of how they're going to treat you. Those are some of the things I look for, just kind of off the bat. So, yeah.
Bro, I just like have like a complete brain fart.
No, you're fine,
to say it all. Shoot. What do you feel about like unequally yoked type stuff? Like, I know you probably don't like that at all, but I'm talking about. So like one of my friends, I don't really agree with it either, because like we're not supposed to be. But one of my friends, his sister, is dating a dude who like in the beginning he didn't really believe in God at all. But like now,
that's a case of missionary dating.
yeah, but now like like Jace's. Have you heard about that? On the Robertsons? He talks about like on his podcast all the time, like his dating ministry or whatever.
No.
Like he like would go on dates with girls and like tell them about God and
what?
Like, pretty much just leave or something.
Oh my goodness.
I forgot.
I mean,
basically like
I guess that's one
he
way
didn't
to
believe
do
in
it.
God at all. Like in the beginning,
Yeah.
I'm not really sure where he is now, but like he like goes to church with her and stuff. So,
Huh.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Like I feel like sometimes like you can maybe like help people, but then like I feel like at the same time you're like putting yourself in like a real like danger.
Yeah.
So
because you're at danger of them leading you astray.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're falling for somebody, you start putting their priorities above certain ones that you have, and you're starting to put them above God. And if their priorities aren't where they need to be, you're going to start doing things that don't even align with what you're doing and what you want to do.
Yeah.
In terms of equally yoked, I mean, if you're asking like if I believe in being equally yoked, yeah, I do, because the Bible says it. But it's very important. In the Bible, when it talks about being equally yoked, it's a like wooden box around oxen, and you're supposed to walk at the same pace, which is a really good illustration of how we're supposed to be. Just like a personal story, kind of going back to the last podcast, the girl that I was dating, yeah, we were both Christians, but would I say we're equally yoked? No, I wouldn't. We had differing beliefs on certain things, certain big things, and we just didn't agree upon them. And in my head, I kind of knew that would be a problem if it continued to go down the line.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's why you have to talk to them. You have to figure out where they stand on certain things, because you can be a Christian all day long. Does that mean you're going to be equally yoked with the person that you're meeting? No, you're not. And
it's
there's
just about striving for the same goals. Like,
yeah.
At the end of the day.
And I don't think we were at all. And so I would not say we're equally yoked. So I say it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not. You have to get deeper in terms of what they believe, why they believe it, and why do they do the things that they do. No matter if you're a Christian, if those things don't line up correctly, then you're not equally yoked, and there's going to be problems because you're striving, ahead on some certain area, and then you're getting pushback from the other person because, like, well, I don't really believe, I don't really believe in that, or like do that. And I'm like, well, you have to be walking forward in unison. It can't be one person. Well, I believe that. Oh, well, I believe this. So
yeah. But what do you think like determines that? Like, do you think one person could be like more like further along in their journey, and then one person could be maybe newer, or like how do you think that could work? Like, do you think you have to be like exactly the same like headspace?
No, and you're never gonna agree with a person 100%. I'm mainly talking about like bigger issues, like for example, I I believe in tithing, giving the first 10% of my income. If the person I'm interested in doesn't believe in giving that first 10% of our income, there's gonna be disagreement there.
Future, yeah.
She's gonna be like, well, why are you just giving away our money? And I'm gonna be like, well, we're commanded to by God and in the Bible, and so like there's strife there in something like that. Remind me, what was the question again? Like, how do you determine? How do you determine if you're equally
I guess like
yoked,
where's
or
the line? Like, I mean,
yeah,
because like you could have some like you said, like you're not always going to be like exactly on the same like wavelength. So like, where do you think's like the line? Like someone who just like believes in God and like doesn't really know yet, and then somebody who like
yeah,
I don't know,
personally,
bro.
I would leave that alone.
Yeah.
I don't care how pretty she is. If she is in a spot where she doesn't believe in God, struggling with her faith, as much as you may want to be like, yeah, you know, I can help her and stuff, that's not really on you, because at the same time, you're not, in your head, you're like, yeah, I can help her. But deep down, you're really pursuing her because you think she's pretty, you like her, and that's not going to help you or her at all, because she's going to see you as a romantic interest, and she's not going to want to get closer to God because
Well, if you're
she's
just
get
like
closer to you.
a distant friend.
A distant friend. What do you mean by distant friend? Like,
I don't know, just like how you would help like anybody else, you know, like with their walk with God. I guess you just have to be careful and set the boundaries.
Be careful and set the boundaries for sure, and say like, hey, you know, like I'm only here to help you and things like that. But yeah, in terms of being equally yoked, before you even get into a relationship, I say there's you know, certain things you have to agree on. You know, salvation, Jesus dying for you, and then other stuff you can talk about later on down the line, like tithing, and you know, like for me, another conviction of mine is drinking. I don't believe in is it a sin? No, but do I believe in drinking and that it's a good thing? No, I don't. I kind of in my head, I'm like, you know, if you flirt with temptation, you're going to lose, kind of thing.
That's facts.
And so I kind of just stay away from it.
I just don't see the point at all, personally.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things me and my ex-girlfriend didn't agree on at all. She thought it was fine, and you know, and that's okay. It's not a sin. But as a personal conviction, I never want to drink. I don't see the point in it. And like I said, it's not a sin. It's just a personal conviction of mine. But that's kind of the things when I talk about being equally yoked. Kind of not like the main big things, like, yeah, like we're Christian, we believe Jesus died for us, but the smaller things when it comes to money management, when it comes to drugs and alcohol, you know, when it, you know, I'm kind of like the music you listen to, that kind of thing. You have to be on the same wavelength when it comes to those certain things. Now, are you going to agree on everything? No. Is she going to like the same music as me? No, because not a lot of people like the music I listen to, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But there's going to be disagreement. However, you have to agree on some of the bigger issues. That way, you're able to walk forward in unison like that, and that's just something you're gonna have to figure out. You know, just by talking to them and figuring out what they believe, and you know, and is it an instant, you know, pushback if they don't agree exactly how you believe? No, like I said, it just depends on the certain things.
You definitely just grow together. But that being said, what do you think is the best way to ask those questions? Like when you first like someone strikes you, think like they're pretty or something, and you like want to start talking to them, how do you think you like ask those questions about God and stuff? Like I remember earlier on, before I really knew God that well, like I would talk to people a lot, and then I'd just be like, oh, well, do you believe in God? She's like, yep. I'm just like, all right, good deal. Never talk about it again.
That's how I mean.
So like,
that's how I was. You know, I thought since I went to a Christian school that, you know, every girl was they're gonna have a relationship with God, and they believe certain things that I did and everything, and that wasn't true. You know, I was kind of fooled by the environment. But you're saying what's the best way to kind of ask those things?
Yeah, to go about it, or I guess to start digging.
Well, number one, I wouldn't jump straight in. I wouldn't walk up to her and be like, "Hey, so what do you think about this?" And they're just like, dude, I don't even know you. Like, what are you like?
Yeah.
What are you doing? So I would definitely start pretty low key, just talking, cracking some jokes, just having a good time. Now, obviously, knowing beforehand that hey, I go to church with them, or hey, I've talked to their friends about who they are, that kind of thing. I definitely wouldn't bring it up immediately. If I would say if something's there, if y'all enjoy hanging out together, and y'all maybe want to go on a date or something, or hang out, that's probably when I would introduce it. Questions like that, saying like, asking them about their relationship with God, and maybe not jumping full in
Yeah.
onto. So, what do you believe about certain specifics of this or that? I wouldn't do that. I would wait a little bit until it maybe gets more serious. We are on the point of like, hey, we could have a good relationship out of this. And maybe when you're close to that point, start asking them those things like, hey, I have personal convictions about this, and this. How do you feel? Or I believe this certain thing about the Bible, or these are my core values and beliefs, and y'all can kind of talk to each other about that. However, don't leave it to the wayside and make it something that you're talking about like 6 or 7 months down the line, and you're just like, wait, but I didn't know this about them. And now you're like already sold in and like, yeah, I'm going to marry her and everything like that. And then you're kind of screwed because
Yeah.
you're in a spot where you're sold out for her. You think she's great and everything, but you haven't asked her the tough and important questions. So basically, to answer your question, I wouldn't start with it off the bat. I would keep it pretty low key, pretty fun. Dating's supposed to be a good time. And then if you click, you connect. Um, then I would probably bring that up around the first date or the first time
That's
that
probably what
y'all
I
have
do.
hung out. But I definitely wouldn't like send a barrage of questions the first time you meet them or the first time you go up and talk to them.
Yeah.
I think that personally push them away and just kind of be like, well, he's kind of snooty, like he's kind of acting like he's holier than thou, asking me, or like treating it like an interview or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I
So
mean, honestly,
yeah,
I feel like you can find most of it out just by watching them from a
yeah,
distance, seeing what they do, looking at their like Instagram type of stuff.
you absolutely can, and that's one thing you can do is you can kind of watch from afar, not like in a stalkish manner, but you can kind of glance from afar and say, hey, like, what's their life like on social media? What do they post? How do they act in church? Where are they serving at? What do other people say about them? Because if some of those things come back as, ooh, like I don't like that, I would probably leave it alone.
Yeah.
However, you can't judge a book by its cover. That's one thing my parents have told me. Can't judge a book by its cover. Don't always assume something, by what you see or always what you hear.
True.
If you're interested in them and you're saying, hey, eventually I'd like to talk to them about that, talk to them about it. And of course, that can be further down the line. But if you see something that brings up a red flag in your head, or a warning, like I don't like this or anything, I would probably stay away from it. It's probably God saying, hey, you really don't need to mess with her,
Yeah.
or she doesn't need to mess with him. And so it all just kind of depends. But yeah, you can absolutely watch from afar. You can look at their actions, how they talk. That's a big thing too, is how they use their words. Their words and their actions towards other people is huge. So,
True, bro. I think me personally, like, and it's probably weird, bro, but like, I probably do what you said, like on the first date. I just dump it all out on them, tell them
yeah,
like what I'm about. If you don't like it, then I guess I won't see you again for real.
yeah.
So, but what would you say to like the person? So we were kind of talking about like putting it off to like 6 or 7 months until you like start to figure out who they really are, or like
Yeah.
what we used to do, just being like, oh, well, you believe in God, so it's all good. Like, what would you say to that
Check
person
mark.
later on when they're dealing with issues of, oh, well, this person isn't really great, but they're like kind of
But
deep
you're like
into it.
in love with
Yeah, like,
them, and you're started to form that soul tie per se.
yeah,
Now, I
what do they even
so
do?
man, it's hard because they're kind of in a rabbit hole. Um, Number one, I would talk to somebody about it. That's kind of what I did in my relationship. I talked to my parents.
Mm-hmm.
had a tough conversation with them, say like, hey, I'm starting to see these things I don't like, and I'm starting to become convicted about it. Feel like God's really trying to tell me something here. What do I do? Um, talking to someone you trust, praying about it, and if that conviction stays there, and they're not budging on kind of what they believe to align with yours to go forward. I mean, you would need to have a tough conversation with the other person and say like, hey, if we can't agree on this, then like I don't see anything moving forward.
Yeah.
Um, it's tough, and it was tough for me too, especially when you get that far along, um, and especially like I was, living in sin and not being convicted about it. It's hard because you start forming a like genuine connection with that person, and like at least for me, it was almost to the point of like codependency. It's super hard to get pulled away from them because you're like, oh, we started planning our future together and everything like that. It's hard, but at the same time, you're thinking about your future marriage ahead. And once you get married, no one wants to get divorced. So you want to make sure these things are in line before then, and preferably 1 or 2 dates in, you're figuring some of this stuff out. And also not, after that time thinking in your head, like, oh, I'm going to marry them. Like, this is going to be great. Always tread with caution.
True, bro.
I don't know if that's the right saying, but always move forward in caution.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know them yet fully. They don't know you yet fully. They could see something in you. They're like, oh, you're like, I don't really like that and stuff like that. But you're all bought in and, sold out on this, what's going to work. And then, she ends up wanting to leave, and then you're just in shambles, and, you don't know how to get back up. So I think tread lightly was the saying. Tread lightly on, getting to know someone too fast, and really just take time to get to know them, and don't rush things. I feel like people rush things all the time.
Sure.
Take your time, get to know them. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm. Me personally, like it kind of like puts a reflection on yourself of like, what is your relationship with God like?
It's a magnifying glass.
Yeah, if you're not even really thinking about that stuff whenever you get into it, like if you're only thinking about them and your future, but you're not even like thinking about God at all.
Yeah.
So I think personally, and it'd be hard to do like yourself, but like you might just have to pull out of that yourself just so you can strengthen your relationship with God, because that's going to be the most important thing you're going to need.
And it's hard, but at the same time, if you don't have your relationship with God, then like I feel like you shouldn't even be dating. And like at least the route that I'm going with right now, I'm improving my relationship with God. I'm making sure, kind of, I've made my decision about where I'm going to college next, trying to get that in order before I even really think about it. Now, would it be nice to be dating someone right now? Yes, it would. But at the same time, I don't feel like I'm in the right spot personally to be doing that. And until I feel like I am, or I feel like I'm in a closer spot, or just genuinely feel better about it, then I'm gonna hold off on it. And I'm not gonna rush it. I'm not gonna see the next girl walking down the street and being like, yeah, that's it. So
me personally, it's just like I feel the same way. Like I have so much stuff going on. I'm hardly like good at hanging out with friends in general, bro. So like, could I even have a girlfriend? I don't really know, but I'm just kind of trusting God. If He throws her my route, then I guess so. Whatever. We'll figure it out.
And always trust in His timing and His plan. If He's got, if He wants you to be with someone, that'll happen. I'm not really big into like God chooses your spouse or anything like that. I think He puts you in the place you need to be in.
Sure.
And allows you to connect with certain people.
I don't believe in like soulmates. I guess that'd be a good question.
Yeah.
Do you believe in that kind of stuff?
No, I don't.
Your missing rib is out there.
No, that's a pagan belief and everything, that you have one person for you. Not that this is what we need to look at for this, but shoot, Solomon had like 700 wives. What you mean a soulmate? Like,
It's true, bro.
like, did he
True.
have 700 soulmates?
I mean,
No.
I don't think he was supposed to be with that, but then at the same
No.
time, like
Uh.
I seen this YouTube video. I think it was very helpful. It was like there's probably, and this dude was married. He was like, there's probably somebody out there who I could work better with than my wife, but we choose to be with each
Yeah.
other and make it work. Like it's a
Absolutely.
choice, because love is a choice. It's
Yes.
a choice to be with that person. There's better looking people out there. There's better probably people to work with your personality out there, whatever. But it's a choice to have that person as your teammate. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
it's absolutely a choice, and you're choosing them on characteristics that God tells you to choose them by. Um,
yeah,
yeah, this could be interesting
there was ducks fighting
with the
last time
ducks,
when me
bro.
and Mr. Chuck were here. They started like beefing with each other, like attacking each
Yeah, I
other.
hope they don't come over here. Yeah, podcast people, we have a special guest on the
Mr.
podcast
Duck,
today,
he is here.
Mr. Duck. Um, he wants some dating advice from Dalton. So
I ain't got
um,
none for you, bro. It's been a while.
either way, what was the question? What were we talking? Just soulmates, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really believe in that. I think there's more than one person out there for you that like you said, that could work better with you. But you choose a person based on their God given characteristics, um, you know, and how well you do think you could work with him and make a kingdom impact. Also, say another important thing is how well they line up with your future trajectory. I was talking to my cousin about this. He's wanting to go into missions. He wants to be a missionary, and he was telling me, like, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard.
He's like
Sorry,
about to throw the truck.
that duck, yeah.
Which cousin?
Baron.
Really?
The took a trip to Fayetteville with him to see his brother get married. But we were kind of talking about this on the way up there. One of his like top 5 like most important things like in a girl is that they line up with his future trajectory in terms of career and path. And obviously, if he wants to go into missions, that he's got to find a wife that also wants to be in that field or is willing to follow him wherever he goes.
Sure.
And so I would also say that too. Like if I'm where I am right now and I kind of want to stay in this area with a job, then like I said, it doesn't matter how pretty she is, how much you connect and everything like that. If she wants to, move all the way to like California or New York or something and live up there full time, and like it would take a lot of prayer and convention to be like, yeah, like, well, we can move up there. But my point is, if you feel like you're called to stay here, then you also need to find someone that is called to stay here as well. If that makes sense.
True, but do you think like so like we're supposed to like serve each other and stuff?
Yeah.
So like
Mm-hmm.
perhaps like you meet somebody who is like trying to like go somewhere else or something, like what would you do if you feel like God wants you to be with that person? You're just gonna have to suck it up and go with
Then
them. Or...
go. And that would be an incredible experience. Going somewhere you've never gone before,
Yeah,
job you've never had before. It would be awesome. And plans change, people change their mind. I love to travel.
yeah,
Haven't traveled a whole lot. I've lived here my whole life. But at the same time, if I felt God, if I'm in a relationship and I felt God saying like, hey, like pursue something here and not where you're at, that's perfectly fine, man.
that's true.
It would be hard, just to get up and leave because I've lived here my whole life. But it would be something I'd absolutely do. Just on my mind right now, that's something that I haven't really thought a whole lot about. So
What, like going somewhere else?
yeah, just going somewhere else and living out of state, in a different place.
Yeah, true. It's pretty crazy. I'm doing it now myself. But basically, like, I don't know. I feel like there's like a line, and it's like more of just like trusting God on it. Like, because I might have brought this up in an episode before, but like,
Yeah.
I had a girlfriend the one time, and I mean, I was planning on moving here. I was planning on moving somewhere else. Like, I was going to come here with my parents, but then when I was dating her, I was like, I didn't even know what I wanted to do, but I was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I'll just go to college in Illinois somewhere here just so I can stay here just to be like by her. So I feel like there's some sort of line there where you like she wasn't even telling me to do that. So But like there's some
Yeah,
sort of line where you got to like know where they're holding you back from who God wants you to be, but then also being able to go where they need to go to be able to
yeah,
serve them. And I feel like that's all like your own conviction and
yeah.
what God kind of leads you to personally. So
And you know, with a girlfriend I had in the past, I won't say she was trying to convince me, but she had brought up the idea a decent amount, and obviously I felt like she'd have been fine wherever I went. But um, you know, in my head, I was like, you know, like I've got to go to the same college as her because I want to be close to her and everything like that. Um, and then my dad was presenting to me another idea of a 2 year college, you know, not pay as much, get my basics out of the way. And I basically just dismissed that and was like, you know, I'm going to do this and I'm going to. Here's the thing, I wasn't thinking about what I wanted to do in the future. Like I was just
mhm.
thinking, like I want to be with her. I want to be with her. We can't make idols out of the people
That's true. I think
that
that's the
we're with.
biggest thing with that. I think that's where you can have the line is
Yeah,
are you making them an idol or are you trusting God and it's just
yeah.
gonna come up that you have to go follow them.
And especially if you're not married, you're not engaged, you're not anything like that. You are
True.
still single. Like you may be dating a person, but you are still single. You have not crossed the dotted
It's
line.
not a co-adventure yet,
Yeah,
so
you've not done that. And so in my opinion, you need to do what you feel like God's placed on your
sure.
heart, and maybe that is go to the same college. But at the same time, you have to determine if that is God and not your own head, your own feelings, your own emotions. You have to
Yeah.
determine that.
I don't think you should be following them around at all if God's not even
No.
in the center of being marriage yet.
Yeah, if that's, you know, if God's not in the center of that, then you don't need to pursue what they're doing.
Sure.
If you're together, you're engaged, plan on being married, you're married, then yes, you're together. You go together. But at the same time, you don't need to like feel bad that you're not doing what they're doing or you're not following them everywhere they're going and stuff. Like I feel like nowadays, people that are together, they don't give each other enough space,
Sure.
and they're texting constantly. You know,
Oh, exactly.
just you said how exactly?
No, I said exactly. I'm a
Oh
firm
yeah,
believer in that, dude, because I
yeah.
did
Like
that too.
yeah. It was constant texting, Snapchatting, just everything. It was like codependency,
Hmm.
um, and it's like now it's like, dude, I can't do that. Like I need space, dude. Like I need hours of like just no communication with them because maybe I want to go do something with my friends or go do something that I want to do or just take a nap or something, you know?
True.
Um,
Like you're together, you're one, but then at the same time, you're also like individuals too.
yeah. And like I don't want to take up the whole person's day by, you know, texting them and then not to mention, you know, some people get mad that like, oh, he didn't respond to me in like an hour and stuff. And so like I'm mad at him. I'm like, dude, that is the pettiest thing ever.
Yeah.
Pettiest thing ever. Um, so I mean, people get too distracted, you know, with the person they're interested at times.
Yeah.
And it's got to stay on God, and that's hard too because you are starting to form an interest with them. Um, but you got to draw that boundary.
That's true, bro. Hey, I think one of the biggest questions I wanted to ask you that I've kind of thought of while I was sitting here was, do you think, and I know you don't have it anymore, neither do I. Do you think it's possible to find a good girl on Snapchat
No,
anymore? You don't think so at all?
no, 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 no.
All right, let's talk about that.
So let me ask you something. Why do you think people are on Snapchat?
Find people for the most part.
Yeah, to find
I mean,
people.
it's either like there's one thing like whenever I was still in high school, and I still like want to get it sometimes just because we got a group chat from like the D
Hmm.
squad boys from
Yeah,
cross country, staying in touch. But then the only other thing there really is to do in there, unless like you're communicating with friends, is the thing with girls and the thing with lust and quick ad and
it,
streak
you
list,
know
all
what
this
it
stuff,
is,
bro.
Dalton. It's a dating app, dude.
It really
It
is.
can be treated as a dating app, and
It's like a
you,
secret dating app.
yeah,
Like,
it's a secret dating app. And the question is, can you find a good girl on it? Man, maybe. Um, I wouldn't put stock in it, because if here's the thing, if you're out there just adding someone randomly, what is your priority or what is your reasoning for doing that?
Yeah.
Your reasoning in your head is, oh, like I'm trying to find a girl and stuff. And so you don't just add one, you add multiple, right? Because you're like, well, if they don't work out, that it's a terrible mindset, and it is a terrible just. I mean, you're being a player online. I mean, that's
You really are.
basically what it is. And now think of a girl doing that to you. If she quick adds you, you're like, at first she's like, oh my gosh, like, like you feel good because like, oh well, she's wants to reach out to me and everything like that. Number one, she probably doesn't even know you, and number two, she's probably doing that to a bunch of people because number one, she wants attention, and number two, she wants it in the wrong way.
I feel like it normalizes it too. Like it feels normal because it's the normal thing to do on that app is like add a bunch of people.
Yeah, and I've had to talk to my sister about this too. You don't know these people that you're just adding, and she's like, well, I go to school with them and stuff, and I'm like, but you don't know them.
Yeah.
Like you're in dangerous territory. And so I think it's a dating app. I think people are on there for the wrong reasons.
Nice.
I just, and ever since I haven't had it, I've just felt better.
It's low-key
Like,
peaceful, brother.
It's peaceful because here's the thing, you get notifications from people, and
It's just a constant like bugging of you. And you know what's crazy?
bugging, but it's also a dopamine hit too. Every
True.
time you get it, oh, that girl snapped me. Oh, like, oh my gosh, it's a picture of the wall. Congratulations. Like, it's
Yes,
just,
sir.
I just really think it's stupid. And, especially in a relationship, the thing that it made me realize is you spend better quality time together and you see each other face to face together. The more you Snapchat each other, the less in person that you're going to feel connected, or the less
The less
wanting.
exclusive it makes in person, I guess.
Yeah, it like if you see their face 24/7, it's like it takes away from you actually seeing them in person.
True.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just addictive.
I feel like it's making people into narcissists. You know what I mean? Because like it's this constant like. You watch that Ryan Walker guy right on Instagram. He talks about how it's like a race to the bottom every time because it is like showing each other the least amount of attention possible, waiting exactly an hour or waiting 2 hours to make them think that you're busy because you're so special, so that you being special makes them want you more. It's just so stupid.
It's terrible logic.
It makes you like have so many options. Like if we were doing this in person and you were getting all these options in person, oh, that would look bad because you're really a player. But for some reason, it's okay online to have all these options because it's just online. You're just sending pictures to each other.
But then also it's private too, so no one else knows you're really doing
That's
it.
facts.
And you feel better because, well, hey, no one knows about this. I'm just, texting all these other girls. I'm Snapchatting them. I'm doing all this stuff, and it's just like, I mean, it's the same thing online as it would be in person. So, like personally, I deleted Snapchat 3 years ago. I'm never going back to it ever.
3 years ago, dang, bro.
It was it's super addicting.
It becomes a habit. That's what it was for me, and that's really why I had to get rid of it. Like I got to the point where, like, I turned off all the notifications. Like I didn't have any of the people anymore, all the girls. I just had my friends. But it was a constant like. Even whenever I removed it from my home screen, I just had it in the library. My brain just knew where it was. Immediately pick up the phone on
And
Snapchat, and there's nobody even on there to talk to. Nobody's snapping me. There's nothing, but it's just the constant like habit of getting on it. And I feel like it creates that on that app more than any other app.
Yeah.
Like I'll pick up my phone out of habit sometimes, but there's not really any other app I just hop onto except for that app when I used to have it on my phone.
It I was the same way. Just on it 24/7. Especially and especially when I was in a relationship. We would text on iMessages on one, and we'd Snapchat on the other, and we would do both back and forth. But it would just keep it to where we were addicted to our phones, and just every 5 minutes, like we couldn't go without it. And so I don't know. I just think of the motive behind why a girl's on there, why a girl is adding you, what is the purpose behind you know, I don't know. I just,
Do you think you can create soul ties on there? Talking about sending nudes and crap.
yeah, I think you can.
And I feel like it's almost like we talk about soft porn, how you can go watch on TikTok stuff where people aren't really naked, but they're like half naked.
Yeah.
So it makes you feel like it's okay because you're not really on porn. I feel like that's what Snapchat does. Like you're
Yeah.
not in person doing this stuff with people, but you're on the phone
Yep.
doing it. So it's just as much damage.
And all the
to your
pictures
brain.
get saved too. I don't know if people know that, but
That's true.
yeah.
That's true, bro.
So, but yeah, you definitely can create soul ties and stuff on there, and that's why I talk about the motive behind which people have it. Yes, can people be on there just to talk to their friends and everything like that? Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I feel like it's just a want for attention. Oh, hey, I got this person snap. They're snapping me. Woo, like
Yeah.
congratulations. I just I don't really think you can find a good girl on there. At least in my experience, I feel like a lot of people on there are attention hungry, and they want to be accepted, and they want to be, that they want to have that attention from other guys, and they want to say, oh my gosh, look how important I am that all these men are snapping me. And same with guys, like look at me, I've got all these girls snapping me, like I'm so popular, like they love me. It's the wrong motive.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the wrong motive.
I think like everybody has it nowadays. I feel like there's normal ways to use it, but like I said, like communicating with friends, just kind of sending random pictures to your friends. But like, it's just too easy to get into the using it in the wrong way, and I
Yep,
think that's the problem with it. Really,
it absolutely is. Now, that being said, if somebody I'm interested in the future, if they have Snapchat, I'm not gonna, like not dating you at all. You got Snapchat, blah blah blah.
what if they're just like they got a little streak with just some random dudes? What are you gonna think about that?
At that point, I don't know how I'd feel about that. I'd probably be like, "Hey, what's your reasoning behind that?" Now, if they're like, "Well, it's a childhood friend I've had since I was like 5 years
Yeah,
old.
I
Our
wouldn't care.
parents are friends and stuff. He's like a few years older than me." That's fine. I'm not gonna bat an eye about that.
I feel like what I've really learned, like, so my first relationship was a lot of like what we talked about with codependency and stuff, and it was a lot of like worrying about every single thing. But then my second one, well, we didn't really date, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It was a lot more like I didn't care. Like I don't know what happened between the two, but all of a sudden I just kind of like lost the care as much. I just had more like trust, I guess. Like I don't know, I just wasn't worried. I
yeah,
mean, maybe part of that was we weren't dating yet, but then like, and I really cared about her, but I just wasn't worried. Like I knew like she probably maybe snapped other people, but I didn't look at her phone. I didn't really like worry or care about that. And I feel like to a degree we maybe need that more today because I
yeah.
feel like if you're finding the right person, if you're going to date the right person, you shouldn't have to worry about girl or guy best friends. I mean, what do you think about that type of?
Girl or guy best
Yeah,
friends.
what do you think about that type of stuff?
I
Or just trust in general, I guess.
I think I think nowadays in our society we have a lot more reasons not to trust people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it all depends on the person that you're interested in, you're dating. If they have a relationship with God, they like you like them, you should be able to trust them, especially if you're at a point where you've dated for a while. You should have reason to trust them. Earlier on, yeah, I mean, I would be cautious with it. But at the same time, I remember you telling me this, and you may have gotten it from somewhere else. But if they're cheating on you, they're texting other people, you're letting the trash take itself out. I
It's
remember I
very
remember
true.
you tell I
Yeah.
remember you tell, and I'm not don't
That's
want
what
I
I
don't want to
try.
call people trash, but
Yeah.
they're kind of removing their self from your life, and it's something that like when it's something that you don't want,
Yeah.
and
And I
so
think it's
yeah,
like you should trust them, bro, but you shouldn't like I guess like you shouldn't put all your eggs in that basket to
yeah,
like worry about. Like you shouldn't be worrying about them all the time. You should
yeah.
just like I'm not saying you shouldn't care, but I'm just saying like if something happens, you still got God at the end of the
Yeah,
day. I don't know.
absolutely. And I feel like nowadays we put all the eggs in one basket, and if a relationship ends, we just stay in our room for like a year straight and, just in darkness and just like, we're so sad and everything. God doesn't want us to live like that. God wants us to learn from it, but he doesn't want us to stay in a depressive, like she was all I had, because that shouldn't be it.
She shouldn't have been all you have, bro.
Exactly. And at that point, if they become all you've had, then your priorities are out of whack.
For real. And you need to learn, and that's why you're in that situation.
Yeah.
Because you got to.
And that's what I had to
get the
learn.
idols out.
Yeah. I had to learn that, and learn that, she can't satisfy, everything that I want. Only God can do that. And until I get to the point to where God's, number one, and I'm able to, fully trust him, then I don't want to get into a relationship. There's still certain things I need to work on myself. And I don't want to bring another girl into that while I'm working through things, figuring out stuff.
But how do you think about that now? Like, because you're talking about kind of wanting to have yourself more together before you find a girl. I think that's very right. I think a lot of people need to act right now, and this is probably one of my biggest advice to anybody listening who's wanting to find a girl is like, you should act like you already have one.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have Snapchat looking around for people. You should act like you already have one, and just be seeking God and make yourself into that man. But like you said earlier on, what we learned at church the other night, like, you're finding an unfinished product, and therefore you're an unfinished product too. So like, what do you think like the line is of like being able to think that you're ready enough to find somebody, or do you think whenever, and this is probably what I think, is like whenever God decides I'm ready, throws her in my path and I'm ready?
That I would obviously 100% say that. But I would also say where you get to a point in your relationship with God where you're so consistent with him, you're spending time with him every single day, you're allowing him to guide you. But at the same time, he, I don't want to say gives you the courage, but you feel at peace with where you're at. And if you feel like, I'm at a spot to where if I did date somebody and, a year on out, if it looked like we're, deciding on getting married, I would be in a good spot to provide. So I would say if God's like, hey, you're ready, and kind of, here's her right here. But then obviously I feel like some of that you have to decide for yourself.
That's true.
And to, because I mean, God's not gonna like make you do anything. He's gonna encourage you and he's gonna lead you, but
you gotta put the work in at the end of the day.
Yes, you have to put the work in at the end of the day. So I would just say trust God in that, but then also if you feel like you're at a point to where in 6 months to a year you could think about getting married, I would say you're good. You're good to go and good to pursue on that point. Just those certain things like your relationship with God, your finances as well. Because like I'm obviously a believer in date to marry. Don't just date to date for 5 years and then we'll think about it kind of thing. Like that's I definitely don't think I could do that. But yeah, there's a lot of different factors, but I would say those are the big ones.
Did we talk about how long last time? I can't remember. Like how long you think you should date for? Did we talk about that last time? I mean, we can talk about it again.
I don't think we did, but if we did, I mean, I'm fine to talk about it again.
Yeah, sure, bro. Like, how long do you think then that it should take? I mean, me and you have talked about this before. But it's kind of just like you said, you don't know within a year or so, then what the heck have you been doing the whole time? That's probably one of those situations where, like we talked about earlier, maybe your relationship with God isn't right and you haven't even been talking about the whole time. Maybe you've been putting it off for 7 months until you finally talk to him about it.
Yeah, I would say if you don't know after a year, there's something wrong. Because, I mean, at that point, a year, man, you should have had all the time in the world to talk about the things you need to talk about.
I mean, who knows? Maybe you haven't been spending as much time together, or maybe it's kind of been like you've been busy with school.
And obviously it depends.
There's different scenarios.
But now I'm saying if like you're able to spend time together, at least once or twice a week, You're able to talk about things. Like I feel like a year should be enough. Now, some people do date longer, understandably. Some people date for a lot shorter amount of time. But I would say if you don't know after a year, then either your relationship with God's not where it needs to be, or you just haven't asked the tough questions to the other person and figured that out. You kind of put it on the back burner and been like, well, like, I love them and everything. And, and maybe you've been in sin, but because your relationship with God is not there, then your mind is clouded by like, like I love them so much and everything, or like this feeling that I get from them, like there's nothing better than that. That will cloud your mind and you won't be able to hear God. And once you finally do, like kind of like I did, I'm just like, was just really thrown off by it because I was doing my own thing, thinking everything I was doing was right. But then when I finally started getting convicted about it, that's when I was like, oh, wait, I really don't need to be in this, So I would say after a year, if you don't know, there's probably something up. But like you said, it depends.
I want to ask this. I was thinking about this a second ago, but like, why do you think there's not dating in the Bible?
Why do I think there's not dating
I don't
in the
want to use
Bible?
the reason that it was a different time. Like there was a lot of prearranged marriages back then. Like the parents chose who it was, but like, why do you think like? I mean, Jacob just ran up. He was like, "Yep, I want Rachel," and like, yeah, like he worked a long time, but like,
yeah,
he just like chose her. Or, like Abraham's servant went and got Rebecca for Isaac, and like he didn't even know who she was, but then they seen each other, and then it just worked. Like,
why do I think there's no dating in the Bible?
It's a hard one.
I would also say this to keep in mind too. You also have to think about the stuff that went on that's not in the Bible. So it may have said like, so and so married so and so, but at the same time, it's like, how long did so and so know so and so? Like what did they do? The in between, like I think God in the Bible tells us everything that we need to know, and there's details left out.
Mm-hmm.
But why is there no dating in the Bible?
Like, why do you think people just, I guess, jumped straight into marriage more back then compared to today? That we have a dating phase, and we also have a talking phase.
That's a tough one.
Like, I guess people like, maybe it's because you just have to be more careful today. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say you have to be more careful. But I'd also say too, where people in the Bible were, they stayed in tribes. The 12 tribes of Israel, they stayed in their tribes and they married other people within their tribes.
Maybe marrying their family, bro.
Well, look,
they were for a while.
They kind of had to.
They were trying to keep
I think.
I don't know, bro.
Yeah, that's another story about lineage and everything. But I would also say, I would say that nowadays we're also spread out, and there's so many differing beliefs and denominations and everything like that we have to be so careful as to who we're talking to and who we get interested in with, because you could be unequally yoked with them and could believe differently. I think back then they were more in tribes, they stayed more together, and the people that they were with all believed in the same thing. That way they could be more confident in who they were dating / like picking as their wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, they really could just be like, yeah, she's pretty, like I want her. And they could have confidence in the fact that their beliefs are going to align with theirs.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking along the lines of, is the fact that they stayed more together and their beliefs were
Sure, I can see that.
They had a lot of the same beliefs among the people that they were in. And nowadays we're also spread out. And, there's just so many more religions and beliefs and everything that's come up nowadays.
Dang, bro. Did you see that?
Fly on you?
No, the big spider, bro. He was attached to me.
Dang. Turning to Peter Parker.
True.
But that's what I would say. I would just say that the people that the men had to choose from probably already had the same beliefs and were already like they worship together in the same tribes and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I would just say nowadays there's so many different churches, religions, denominations that you don't know what that person came from, and so you've got to have a point where you get to know them and know their family and everything, because they weren't spread apart.
Yeah,
back then. That's what I think.
sure, that makes sense. You want to have a big wedding?
Big wedding?
Big wedding or like a chill one?
I mean, my opinion doesn't matter because I mean the woman I'm going to marry is it's going to be her decision. But no, do I want a big wedding? I don't know if I want a big wedding. I definitely don't want it to be like small. I definitely want it to be like an actual event where like a lot of people come. But do I want it to just be big and massive and chandeliers?
Like, do you want to spend a bunch of money on it and go somewhere crazy, or like?
I don't want to get crazy with it.
Yeah,
to put it that way.
Me neither, bro.
But at the same time, if that's what she wants, if she wants to do something different, look, in my opinion, the wedding day is more, in terms of all the decorations and everything.
That's definitely more.
That's more about her than me. You know, obviously it's going to be cool and everything, and you know it's going to be great. But I would kind of leave that more into her hands and kind of just give my opinion when she wants it, kind of thing. Like,
True.
You know, like, hey, can we have chocolate cake instead of vanilla cake? You know,
no seed oil, no cake, no sugar, bro. She's not gonna like
that. But yeah, I would say I would have a little say in it, but I would say for the most part that event is more for her. Not that I'm just there, because I'm obviously not just there. But in terms of all those decisions and everything, I'm perfectly fine if she wants to make those. But in terms of a big wedding, I don't want it to be like big, but I also don't want it to be like small where not a lot of people come. So kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other questions or things to talk about? I think I've ran out.
I really don't think so. I would just say to the people, the people that watch, don't feel pressure into feeling like you have to be with somebody, or you have to, at this certain age you have to be, married and have kids. Like everybody's on their different path, different journey. So I'd say don't put pressure on yourself. But at the same time, control what you can control. Build a relationship with God that lasts and is weathered through the storms of life. Prioritize Him first, and someday you'll end up meeting somebody, and you'll look back and think like, man, I remember I was so worried about that, and I really didn't have to be. And I feel like that's kind of what's going to happen with me.
Sure, it's going to happen with a lot of things. Okay.
Yeah, and so I would just say, keep developing your relationship with God. Don't feel like you're behind. Don't feel like you're, behind the people in your life. Don't, look at social media and be like, well, everybody's getting married and everybody has a girlfriend. Don't look into that. There's a lot of people that are in your spot right now. And so I would just say, focus on God. He'll provide everything you need. And, just don't be too stressed. Live your life, have fun, meet new people, and don't put too much stress on it.
Amen. So, you want to pray us out?
Yeah, let's do it, brother.
All right, bro.
God, thank you for this time together. Thank you for this opportunity for me and Dalton to come on here and have this great conversation. God, I pray for everyone that's watching. I just pray that this will touch them today, and the words that I've said and Dalton have said would have an effect on them. God, I pray that you would speak through the words that we've said to help people, God. And we thank you for the life that we have and the situations that we've been through that have helped us grow and that you've used to mold us into what we are now. I pray that this would reach people and help people, and help them to have a different perspective on finding someone to fall in love with. And I pray that you would just help them to do that the right way. And to rely on you throughout the process. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yes, sir. Bro, it took me a while to wake up.
Dude,
first, especially the spot where you stopped talking. I was just staring at you, bro.